And now, from approximately coast to coast, it's the Bob and Ray Radio Show. Well, hi, guys. Say, look
Hi,
what I
what?
have. Well, I got my change today. I just got a penny with a picture of Abe Lincoln on one side and another picture of Abe Lincoln on the other side, but a different pose.
Looking the other way.
How do you figure that happened? Is this a museum piece?
I would think that's a collector's item. Have
Wow.
you tried it at any
No, I just got it
coin
today.
place?
I just noticed it when I was sitting here idly waiting for the program to start.
I'd hang on to it. And incidentally, if any listeners have one of these same types of pennies and lets us know about it, we'd like to know.
The reason I was checking my changes, I wonder, could you let me have $1? Because I need some money to get home after the program.
Yeah, we'd take care of that. But
All right.
this isn't the time or the place because we have a lot of work to do first.
That's right. Now, the makers of Fine Binder Fly Paper with new improved stickum to kill bugs even deader than before bring you another dramatic story from the files of The Emergency Ward.
Greetings and welcome. I'm Dr. Gerhard Snutton, handsome young physician who's not yet established a practice of his own. Instead, I work in the emergency ward of a big city hospital, coping with tragedy wherever I can find it. Take the other evening, for example. I was filling a spare moment with some work on a vital research project when my associate nurse Roothouse turned to me and said,
Doctor, why did you just put that puppy dog in the office refrigerator?
"The test animal happens to be a Siberian Husky, Nurse Roothouse. I hope to discover how that breed developed its tolerance for extreme cold, and then employ the same technique to help human beings live without overcoats."
Well, that seems harmful to the textile industry, and the puppy dog didn't seem to like it much either.
There's a price to be paid for all scientific achievement, Nurse Roothouse. In this case, I've already found that the test animal ate my salami sandwich while he was in the refrigerator. That discovery alone could lead to a vast expansion of the delicatessen business in the far north.
Pardon me. Is this the emergency ward of a big city hospital?
Yes, and I'm Dr. Gerhard Snutton, handsome young physician who's
Excuse me, you'll have to speak louder. You see, I've got these 2 dice stuck in my ears. That's my emergency.
Well, it comes as no surprise to me that you're experiencing problems. As a licensed physician, I could have told you that stuffing foreign objects in your ears might be detrimental to your health.
I didn't stuff these in there myself. A bunch of guys in the alley did it to me after I'd made 10 passes in a row by coming out with a natural 7.
Well, however it occurred, the only solution now, I would say, is brain surgery. I'm hoping that if I go down through the center of your head, I can push the dice out from the inside.
Well, that seems like a terribly dangerous procedure, Doctor. I thought you might try picking the dice out with tweezers first.
Nurse Roothouse, it's obvious that you never spent a day of your life in medical school. The tweezers could get stuck in his ears along with the dice. Then we'd have a very serious situation.
Excuse me, but if you people are going to quibble about this for a while, I think I'll go get a drink of water.
Very well. Just be careful not to get any of the water in your ears. Dampness can cause some types of dice to swell up.
Okay, Doc, I'll be sure to face the drinking fountain head on.
See that you do. Now, Nurse Roothouse, I think you'd better call for an anesthesiologist. Opening the patient's head as far down as his ears might cause some discomfort otherwise.
Hey, Doc! Hey, look what happened.
I can see what happened, you clumsy fool. Trying to keep your ears out of the drinking fountain, you didn't see the foot pedal at the bottom of it.
Yeah, but falling down only caused a few minor bruises. The important thing is that it shook me up enough to jar the dice out of my ears.
Well, I'm not the least bit surprised. A severe jolt will often dislodge objects that are stuck. I learned that in medical school. Or maybe it was in 7th grade science, I'm not sure.
Well, wherever you learned it, your vast knowledge cured me, so I'm forever in your debt. Here's $2 for your trouble. Goodbye.
Well, Nurse Roothouse, you've just seen medical science work its wonders on another pathetic creature. So pause a moment to make the brief notation in your casebook. Patient released. Cured.
Today's emergency ward drama has been brought to you by the makers of Einbinder flypaper with new improved Stickum. Friends, if you're still using old-fashioned flypaper, you know how disheartening it is to watch a trapped insect pull his feet out of inferior sticky stuff and go free to pester you again. So why not enjoy the peace of mind that can come from switching to new, improved Einbinders with the super gooey stuff that finishes bugs totally and permanently? True, genuine Einbinders may cost a little more than second-rate brands, but stop to consider that one escaped fly can lay as many as 4,000 eggs. Now, that's enough newly born insects to annoy a city the size of Niles, Michigan. We think it's worth a few cents more to prevent a calamity of that magnitude. So visit your local flypaper dealer today and insist on genuine Einbinders, the brand you've gradually grown to trust over the course of 3 generations.
And be sure to join us again next time for more adventures from the files of the Emergency Ward. Well, hi there, sports fans. This is your eyes and ears of the press box, Biff Burns, coming your way once again from Mike's side in the Biff Burns Sports Room. We're set to take another penetrating look at all the highlights and sidelights from the world of sports, but first, we want to chat with a very special sports guest who's with us in the sports room today. His name is Wilbur V. Dodson, and Wilbur, I understand you're ready to play a long shot by putting still another new professional sports franchise here in New York.
Well, I don't really feel that I'm playing a long shot, Biff. This city has indicated that soccer is really beginning to catch on here, so I have every reason to believe that the good people will turn out to support my New York Kangaroos.
Well, from our vantage point here in the sports room, we certainly do want to wish you the best of luck, Wilbur. I know a lot of critics are saying that the abundance of foreign-born players is one of the things that's hurt pro soccer in this country, and from the nickname of your team, I assume that the Kangaroos are mostly Australians.
Well, that's only partially true, Biff. Some of the guys were born down under, but quite a few of them are second- and third-generation Americans of Australian descent.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. But I assume it means that the names of some of your team members are already familiar to U.S. fans.
Well, I'm afraid I don't exactly know what you mean, Biff, but taking your question literally, my players obviously don't have names at all. It's not, customary to give names to Kangaroos.
Well, I think you may have just dropped the season's biggest bombshell here in the sports room without realizing what you've done, Wilbur. Are you trying to say that your players are really Kangaroos and that's not just a team nickname?
Yeah, but I don't know what you find so unusual about that, Biff. I realized as soon as Pelly had been signed by another team that he's really the only human soccer player whose name means much in this country. So I figure I might as well go for raw talent instead of name value. So, of course, that meant Kangaroos.
So you put a whole team of them under contract, huh?
Well, actually, I already had them under contract. I was planning to use them on a new team I was getting together for the World Football League, but then the WFL folded before we could play our first game.
Well, from our vantage point here in the sports room, we certainly extend our condolences on that costly bit of bad luck, Wilbur.
Well, I think it probably was all for the best, Biff. I found out at our training camp that Kangaroos don't play football as well as you might think. Of course, they all kick field goals from just about anywhere, but their front paws are too short to mount much of a passing attack. And also, they fumble a lot when they turn, to a running game.
Well, I don't imagine there'd be much spectator appeal in a football team that just kicks field goals on first down every time it gets the ball.
That was my feeling exactly, Biff. So, from a purely personal standpoint, I think it may have been a good thing that the WFL folded so I could convert the Kangaroos into a soccer team.
Yeah, soccer is more of a purely kicking game, and I guess a trained kangaroo might be able to adapt to it more easily.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. The guys still have a tendency to step on each other's tails, when the flow of play suddenly moves from one end of the field to the other, but they can really kick that ball on the rare occasions when one of them decides he wants to.
Well, I think you may have just let another bombshell slip out there, Wilbur. Are you trying to say that kangaroos don't particularly care about kicking a soccer ball even though they're playing on a soccer team?
That's right, but you got to remember one thing, Biff. They don't know they're playing on a soccer team, so there's no reason for them to want to kick the ball. However, I'm hoping to spray the ball with catnip or something like that to attract their interest.
Well, I'm sure that'll make the team more of an offensive scoring threat, Wilbur.
Or better will. Even now, one of them appears to kick the ball accidentally. It almost always goes clear over the roof of the stadium where we're practicing.
Well, then they certainly have a natural talent, but do they ever kick the ball into the goal?
No, just over the roof of the stadium. See, they don't know they're supposed to kick it into the goal. That's a pretty complicated thing to teach a kangaroo.
Well, I know you'll be out there trying to teach it to them right up to the day you go bankrupt, Wilbur, so thanks for dropping by to tell us all about your wonderful idea. Now, this is Biff Burns saying that until next time, for our next get-together in the sports room, this is Biff Burns saying so long, fans.
And now, through the magic of live radio, we again join Folly Gerard in a remote corner of America as he continues his travels down the byways. Today, Folly has parked his deluxe motorhome in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, where he's ready to bring us another of his homespun reports. So come in, please, Folly Gerard.
Many of the joys of childhood that older Americans can fondly remember are now long gone. There aren't any icemen's wagons left to chase on a hot summer day in the hope of begging just one small chunk. And quiet swimming holes are seldom found anymore in a nation of cities and suburbs. But here in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, a man named Burton Potts is still helping...
Excuse me, it isn't Potts, it's Pitts, Burton Pitts.
Fine. Now, if you just allow me to finish, sir. Here in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, a man named Burton Pitts is still helping youngsters experience the thrill of dressing up like cowboys and having their pictures taken on a pony. His business is a small one by the calculations of most, just Burton and his shaggy, unkempt little pony named Trotter.
I wish you wouldn't do that kind of a put-down job on the pony. He isn't shaggy and unkempt. He's just that breed of pony.
Indeed he is, sir, and the two of you form a quaint picture as you make your rounds, giving every kid a chance to pretend that he's a bronco buster of old. Why do you suppose the wonderful profession you follow has almost vanished from the American scene?
Well, mostly I think it's due to the sharp rise in the cost of maintaining a pony. In your larger urban areas, the stall fees alone can kill you. Fortunately, I'm still allowed to keep Trotter in my garage here in Sun Prairie, but that might not be the case in New York or Chicago.
No, it's been years since I've seen a pony in a private garage in New York. And also, I imagine it costs more now to maintain several sizes of cowboy suits for the youngsters to wear while they have their pictures taken astride Trotter.
Well, actually, I got away from the costume thing several years ago for that very reason. I just carry one cowboy hat with me now, and I tell the kids to pretend they're wearing the rest of the outfit.
You find that one hat size comes close enough to fitting them all, do you?
No, not really. A standard 7 1/4 comes clear down over a kid's ears and most of his face until he's about 5 years old. But then you gradually can see more of him as he gets older. I try to use that as a selling point when I make my rounds the next year looking for repeat business.
Well, you mean you try to talk parents into having the child's picture taken regularly until his head gets big enough to make him visible under the hat?
That's right. Under the age of 10 or so, the kid may enjoy sitting on the pony, but you can't tell who he is in the picture.
And so, summer after summer, Burton Pitts and Trotter make their way around Sun Prairie, two familiar figures selling treasured snapshots for a few cents, perhaps $1.
You put that very poetically, but it costs a little more than $1 now.
Well, I guess everything has gone up since I was a boy.
Probably, but this is not just inflation. You see, my service is a lot more professional than the kind you get from most pony photographers. I provide the parents with a framed 8x12 photo, together with 3 5x7s, and then I also include a dozen wallet size that can be sent to grandparents or whoever.
I see. So how much do you charge for your full service, then?
$97.50.
Well, that's quite amazing. Are parents really willing to pay that much to an itinerant like yourself who just goes around from door to door with a pony?
Well, I wouldn't say they're real anxious to pay that much, but it's the price I quote down the fine print of the contract I have them all sign. I tell people it's just a release form to protect both of us in case the kid falls off the pony.
I see. So it's not until afterward that they find they owe you $97 and grudgingly pay off. Is that it?
Well, not too many pay off right then. They're still pretty mad at themselves for being stupid enough to sign the contract. So I usually have to get a collection agent to lean on them a little. If that doesn't work, I drag them through small claims court.
And so, here on the quiet streets of a small Midwestern town, one man is keeping alive a bit of Americana that has vanished from the scene in most larger places. For that, we're all grateful to Burton Pitts and his little pony Trotter. We'll remember them both as we move on to listen to other stories that are waiting to be told down the byways. Until our next stop, this is Farley Gerard saying so long for now. Well, hi there, boys and girls. It's time for some real fun now. Time to gather around for another session of learning and fun on Prodigy Street. I bet all you little people are waiting there real anxiously for today's lesson so you can become smarter than your mummies and daddies. And I've got a feeling that you're not going to have to wait much longer. Mr. Wise Old Owl is coming down Prodigy Street right now with his Wise Old Owl blackboard, and that must mean we're all going to learn something new about arithmetic. Right, Mr. Wise Old Owl?
Well, that's just as right as anything can be, Wally the Woodman. We're going to find out about something real grown up today. It's called long division.
You decided to go ahead with that even after we had our little discussion, huh?
Hear that, boys and girls? Wally the Woodman is making another of his Wally the Woodman jokes. And it's just too bad that nobody knows what he's talking about.
Well, I don't imagine you could have forgotten what I'm talking about quite this soon, Mr. Wise Old Owl. I was just saying backstage that long division is straight from Dullsville. Don't you remember?
Yeah, I sure do, Wally, but I don't want to discuss it now and make you look like a fool in front of all the children. So you just go sit down somewhere while the rest of us begin our very first lesson in long division. And you kids at home can follow right along as I start by putting a big number 10 on my Wise Old Owl blackboard.
And what does that number 10 remind you of, little people? Remember the song we learned last week about John Brown and his 10 little Indians?
That really wasn't a very good song, Wally, and it certainly doesn't have anything to do with long division.
I know. That's why I thought this might be a good time for the children to review it. So let's see if we remember the words, boys and girls. John Brown had a little Indian. John
Wally,
Brown.
Hey, for crying out loud, I'm trying to teach you a lesson in arithmetic here.
Well, I wasn't exactly trying to interfere. I just thought you might welcome a chance to switch over to something more interesting before you got too far into that mess. But if your mind's made up, well, don't let me interfere.
Thanks, I won't. Now we put an L-shaped box under the number 10 to show that we plan to divide it by another number.
Of course, we all recognize that letter L, don't we, children? Let's see if we can remember 3 words we learned in our reading lesson last week that begin with the letter L.
Logistics, luminescent, and lithography. Now, outside our division box...
You math people are a bunch of born smart Alex, aren't you?
Well, no, but good grief, Wally, you keep trying to change the subject. And you can't do that with small children. They have very soft brains. So you have to teach them one thing at a time. Now, boys and girls, we're going to put a number 3 outside that box to show we want to divide 10 by 3.
Hey, kids, remember the word 3 from that poem we learned in our reading lesson? It was the one that told all about the 3 little kittens who lost their mittens.
Oh, Wally, please don't drag up that thing again. You know how I feel about that poem, especially since we've got a lot of boys in our audience. Husky young boys shouldn't be going around reciting a poem about little kittens who lost their mittens.
Well, that's certainly a male chauvinist remark if I ever heard one.
No, it's not. It's just a little boy sounds like an awful sissy when he's blabbing about kittens losing their mittens.
Well, I'm sure the foundation putting up money for this show will be interested to know that you've come out in strong opposition to the Equal Rights Amendment.
Well, that's not what I said at all. Naturally, you're planning to snitch on me anyway.
I'm required to keep our benefactor informed.
Yeah, well, that's what snitches always call it when they snitch. So let's see how well you can do without any front teeth. Take that!
I guess time's up for today, kids, but there'll be more fun and learning next time on Prodigy Street.
Look, don't try to finish the problem of dividing 10 by 3. I just realized it'll never come out even.
Remember now, join us same time, same station on Prodigy Street. I'll be there, and I'll just bet Mr. Wise Old Owl will be with us, too.
I doubt it. This place is really driving me bananas.
See you then, boys and girls. Now come with us as we journey once again to Garish Summit with its tangled web of intrigue among the socially prominent. There in stately splendor, far removed from the squalid village below, they fight their petty battles over power and money. As our action resumes, young Caldwell Murchfield still awaits the outcome of his trial for embezzlement. He's pacing restlessly in his jail cell when the family's attorney and longtime friend, Bowden Pardue, approaches.
Gee, I'm glad to see you, Mr. Pardue. I'm starting to get nervous. I can't figure why the jury's taking so long to decide whether I'm guilty or innocent.
Well, there, Caldwell. I have it on good authority that you needn't concern yourself about that matter.
It's a big relief to hear you say that.
The bailiff tells me that it only took the jurors 5 minutes to decide you're guilty. Now they're just arguing whether they have the power to send you to the electric chair.
Oh, for Pete's sake. All they did was borrow a few $100,000 from the family business without telling anybody. I don't know why the jury's out to ruin me for a little thing like that. They all look like nice, average people.
I think you've judged them correctly, Caldwell. But in this town, it's the nice, average people who hate you Murchfields the most. Some foolish nonsense about your family cheating theirs out of house and home.
Well, I was always proud of Dad for being a robber baron who pulled a fast one on the hayseeds around here. By now, you'd think they'd be happy to have jobs in my family's lead mines and let bygones be bygones.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Any moment, the charges against you may be dropped because someone else has confessed to the crime. Your mother is hoping to find some patsy who can be paid off to take the rap for you.
Well, I'm too busy now for social calls, my good man. Besides, you got in here by telling the butler you're a close relative, but there's no one in our family who goes around in a pirate uniform.
Oh, now, Aggie, you wouldn't be making fun of a man's best suit, would you?
My word, I'd know that voice anywhere. You're my late husband's black sheep brother, Bronco Billy Murchfield.
Aye, that I be, Aggie, and I've only come back for a fair share of my dear dead brother's holdings.
Well, this just can't be. My husband sent you off to cruise the world on the family yacht 40 years ago. And the crew had specific instructions to throw you overboard as soon as the boat was out to sea.
Aye, that they did, Aggie, but I was picked up and saved, thanks be to good Captain Barmore, who was flying the Jolly Roger down the Spanish Main when he found me. Man and boy, it took me many a year to get back, Aggie, and now here I be.
Well, I find this very interesting, Bronco Billy. My late husband had you declared legally dead so he could take over your share of the family holdings. So there's no record that you still exist. You could be anyone now, even a total stranger who committed the crime that my son Caldwell is charged with.
Faith and Bagara, Sergeant, are you telling me that this young hooligan we picked up at the Murchfield estate is no one at all?
Well, my criminal training tells me he must be someone, Lieutenant. I just can't figure out who. He says he's from the Spanish Main, but I checked with headquarters of the Maine State Police in Augusta. They never heard of a town up there called Spanish Main. So if the old coot's lying about that, he could also be lying when he says he never stole money from the Murchfield Lead Company.
Will Agatha succeed in pinning Caldwell's crime on her long-lost brother-in-law? Will Bronco Billy Murchfield succeed in his efforts to convince the police that there really is a Spanish Main? And what about the mysterious jury foreman, who may know more than we've heard about? Join us next time when we'll hear Bronco Billy's pet parrot say,
Spanish Main is up near Bangor. Lock.
That's in the next exciting episode when we will once again journey to Garish Summit.
And here again for a quick visit is Mr. I Know Where They Are, Ralph Flinger, who keeps track of the celebrity greats from out of the past. We have a question today, Ralph, sent in here by a lady in Oregon.
Well, fire away, Ray.
Now, she's inquiring about a woman who used to call herself the Queen of Gypsies and she believes the woman's name was Magda Opalescu.
Oh, my land sakes. There's a woman I'll never forget. Those flashing black eyes. She always wore a long, brightly colored skirt. Magda, ruled over most of the gypsy conventions that were held in the Pacific Northwest before World War II.
I never attended any gypsy conventions in the Pacific Northwest before World War II.
Well, they were colorful events, Ray. The tribes would all gather in those big Pierce Arrows and other limousines they drove in their caravans, and they'd camp out in a park or fairground for a week or more every spring. And the newspaper people always wanted to come out and get a picture of Magda Opalescu waving her tambourine.
Oh, it all sounds very colorful. Is Magda still living?
Yes, indeed she is, Ray. Of course, the gypsies have stopped roaming around the country the way they used to, but Magda will still read tea leaves and tell your fortune if you'll cross her palm with silver.
I see. She lives in a gypsy encampment somewhere, I suppose?
No, she lives in a condominium near Long Beach, California. Her husband's in the plumbing supply business out there. I don't believe he's a gypsy.
No, it doesn't sound as if he is. But Magda's the one we were particularly interested in anyway. So thanks for dropping by to tell us about her.
My pleasure as always, Ray, to step back into the past. Goodbye.
Ralph Flinger, Mr. I Know Where They Are.
And as it must to all good things, the time to end this Bob and Ray show is just about over. Ray had to leave early, so Webley Webster, will you assist me with the closing credits, please?
I'll be glad to, Bob. Friends, the program was developed and produced for the Radio Foundation by Larry Josephson, who was convinced the Red Sox won the 1986 World Series.
Lars Hoel is associate producer. Al Schaefer took care of sound effects matters, and Paul Taubman, as usual, was our musical director.
The part of Mr. Taubman was played by me, I might add.
Technical director David Glasser. Engineering assistants, we had Marty Newman, Miles Smith, and Jay Newland.
For your production assistants, you had your Bill O'Neill and your Charles Whitson. And if you're keeping score, the program was recorded at Howard Sports Studio in New York City.
Funding provided by a major grant from the National Endowment for the Arts, with additional funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through NPR's Satellite Development Fund and from public radio stations.
Now, for the very distinguished and handsome Ray Goulding, this is Webley Webster reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs. Thank you, Webb.
Do I get more for doing this?